All right, guys. Thanks for coming back to the King Ugly Crew podcast tonight. I apologize. We've been gone so long. It's been one of those crazy, crazy summers. But tonight we've got me moderating, Skyla Griffith,
hey,
and our baby sister, Sarie. She doesn't want to say hi, I guess.
Hi, sorry, I was checking on a baby.
The baby has a baby.
So anyway, tonight we usually would be doing the book one. I don't know if everybody's finished it yet. I have. I think Case is still sick, so I think we're going to hold off on that. And we're just going to discuss cities we've lived in and what we did, like our favorite cities we've lived in, and then maybe some of the ones we haven't liked, and what we disliked and we liked about those different cities that we have lived in. I mean, realistically, let's start off with Skyla. And, what's the first town you remember living in?
I remember, I want to say Visalia.
Is that the walnut, when we were at the walnut orchard?
Yeah, I think it's the walnut orchard. Mom's probably sitting here listening going, that's not the walnut orchard. The walnut orchard was in Porterville. But
yeah, probably.
I think it was Visalia. But I think the first house I remember was the walnut orchard house that had the pool and a walnut orchard.
Uncle Becky and Uncle Chris next door?
Yes, in the pool house. That makes us sound so fancy, doesn't it? We had Aunt Becky and Uncle Chris living in the pool house.
Did that one have? So I remember one of them that had red tile floor. Was that it, or is that a different one?
I think that was a different one.
Okay.
But I could be wrong. No, I remember I have a memory of going out and playing in the mud, I think on dirt bikes in the walnut orchard, and then Dad said we could rinse off in the pool.
I'm sure. Well, I guess he was the one that was probably maintaining the pool, so
or Uncle Chris was. But
true.
We could rinse off the pool, and it felt super warm because the mud had been really cold. But that's what I remember. I don't remember Visalia. I don't really remember California that well.
Yeah, me either.
My much more vivid memories come in Reno, and then of course Twin Falls.
Which is where you're at now, Reno.
Reno, yes. One of the reasons we decided to do this particular subject is because I moved back to Reno this week. So we are here, hopefully, forever.
Yeah. I remember Reno obviously Twin Falls more, but Reno had a big impact. I mean, not the first house, the one in Hidden Valley. Maybe you remember that one more than me.
A little.
But I remember the one up on, Geiger Grade, which was, I think the reason we remember that one so much is probably because of the four-wheeler riding, that we could just go out of the garage and we were up on the mountains and we could ride all the way to Fernley.
Yep. And I think we did on an occasion or two.
I don't think I ever did on that one. But, I think back on it, and one, I don't know how Dad ever let us go up that windy old Geiger Grade road that had no guardrails or anything. And I remember being, what was I, maybe 8 or 9?
I was 8 to 11 when we lived there, so you were 5 to 8.
Yeah, but I remember being on a four-wheeler and literally drifting around those corners.
Yep, we were crazy.
Yeah, I think about that now. I'm like, dude, those were like straight off drops. Not all of them, obviously, but a lot of them, like, if you went off, you went off.
You're done. That's it. Bye.
Right? So, yeah, I would say that that was probably me. Griffith definitely doesn't remember Reno, although he was born there.
He was born there. A year before we moved. Yeah, he was 1 when we moved, because we moved in March of '89.
Yeah, so then I was 9.
I wasn't even 9. A thought when you guys lived in Reno.
No, you weren't.
No, you were not. Nope, definitely not. There were still, 2 more before you.
Yeah. Yeah, so I would have to agree with Skyla. Those are probably my 2 most, the ones that I think of the most. So I'm just going to skip to Griff, considering that was the same for me. But Griff, I'm assuming, is probably Twin Falls.
Yeah, Twin, and not the first house in Twin. The second house in Twin on
Vicky Lane.
Vicky Lane is the house that I remember. Like, that was the very first thing I remember as far as a house and all the stuff, and then followed that as Shoshone, because Shoshone I was 9, 10, 11. So that's when I would have remembered a lot of that.
Yeah, so those are your main ones. Sarie was probably more Shoshone than Twin.
I have very vague memories of Shoshone. No memories of Twin. Vague of Shoshone. But, like, the house I definitely, like, I don't know. Like, I know that there was green carpet in the Shoshone house. And I
Yep.
have a memory of like playing out in the snow and building a snowman with Case and coming in, my hands were freezing, so I put them under hot water, and that was an awful idea. Like, those are the memories I have. Like, that is pretty much the memory I have of the Shoshone house.
Wow, that's hilarious.
Sarah, isn't it very interesting that we both have memories of water as some of our earliest memories?
Oh my gosh, I'm terrified of water. Terrified.
Oh, I'm not.
Yeah, me either. But that's also because mom used to, well, I don't know. She got us like really early learning how to swim. And I know that. I don't remember it, obviously. But
I don't remember ever not knowing how to swim.
yeah, me too. Like, I always knew how to swim. I don't remember not knowing how to swim.
That was not my case. I remember swimming and having to learn how, because I remember having to pass a swim test.
Oh,
Where?
I got a swim test story for you.
In Shoshone, we weren't allowed to go to the deep section until you could pass the swim test, and so that's where I learned how to swim. Because Mom never really took us swimming that I remember in Twin. Like, we started to go swimming when I was in Shoshone when we had that pool. They had a community pool that was close.
Interesting.
Yeah, for me, the swim test one that I remember the most was up at Camp Bradley. And it was like the week before we got up there, it had snowed. And so the lake they made you do it in was literally like 55 or 45 degrees, between 45 and 50 degrees. All I remember is I jumped in and was like, oh my goodness, this is so cold. But you still had to do the freaking swim test. So I did it, but oh my goodness, like worst experience ever.
Oh my.
Sounds like it.
All right, so then, and Skyla was gone before Shoshone.
Yep.
So she definitely doesn't have any memories. I mean, like you were in either New York at that time or Hawaii, right?
Yeah. But I was in, when you guys moved to Shoshone, I was in Hawaii. But I do actually have memories of the Shoshone house because I was there when Mom went to the emergency room 4 times in one day.
Oh, because of Case and Bear and Griff?
And Sarah got stitches that day.
Oh.
I don't remember what happened to me.
Yeah, maybe it wasn't Griff.
It was just me and Case. Because Case was like getting his cast off or something, or broke his arm or his collarbone or something, and then Griff threw me out of the wagon, so I had to go to stitches.
The wagon, so first Case broke his arm, then Sarah got stitched, then Case broke his other arm, then something else happened, and I can't remember what, but I think it was 4 times in one day. Maybe I'm making it up. Who knows? But I was there for that because Mike was deployed. Mike was gone for 6 months, so I came home for a couple months. But it wasn't like the home I left.
No, it would totally be different. There's no doubt about that.
It was weird.
All right, so I guess probably the next place to go would be, for what was your memory of where you grew up. High school years. Obviously, that was Twin for Skyla, Twin for me. Tell us a little bit about it, Skyla.
So Twin was
I hated it when we moved there.
I was excited. I don't know why I was excited, but I was excited. Except that there was no ice skating rink, and so I was devastated. So I was devastated and excited. Yeah, but I didn't love mountains as much as I do now. Because even in Twin, there are more mountains than in, say, South Carolina.
True story.
So Twin was this cute, it's a cute little town. It just is a cute little town. And growing up, we had a bunch of elementary schools, 2 middle schools, which of course were rivals. We had O'Leary and Robert Stewart.
Still are.
Yep. There's another one now, though. There's an extra.
Oh, is there a third now?
Yes. It's South Hills Middle School.
Oh, I did know that.
And then we had one high school, which is Twin Falls High School. So high school years, I was a floater. Like, you know how you've got the people who are just in groups, but I was a floater. I flitted from group to group to group.
You're friends with just about everybody.
Yeah, it's kind of what I do. And then, well, let's see, my freshman year. So I was in 9th grade, but that was junior high. That wasn't high school, which I wish they did that more. But
I
anyway,
agree. It's way cooler that way.
It's way cooler that way because you're never like, as a freshman, you're king of the hill. It's a happy thing. Anyway, I digress. So freshman year, new family moves in across the street, and that changed everything.
Freaking Mike.
So for those of you who don't know, that was my husband who moved in across the street. I was 14, he was 15. It was in 91, so now y'all know how old I am. And And it was on and off until he left for the Navy, and then it was when he came back, it was just on, and then we got married. So high school was mostly either going out with Mike secretly or trying to make him jealous. So that was Twin Falls for me. But I really liked Twin Falls. It had 4 seasons. It was a cute little town. Everybody knew everybody's business. I think I ditched high school a couple of times my senior year after I got my truck, and people would tell mom because they knew what my truck looked like.
Yeah, a little hard with that one.
Well, 1954 Chevy pickup driving around in the 90s.
I wonder if you got in trouble a couple of times I took it and you probably didn't even know about it.
You guys used to do that all the time, and the gas gauge was broken, and so I would run out of gas, and then I had to call people to come bring me gas.
Well, I just know that like Sergeant Slaughton once was like, "Hey, are you doing anything?" And he's like, and I'm like, "No." And we're in like weight. I mean, I was in class, right? But it was weight class. And he's like, "Hey, go grab some donuts." So I did. It was kind of funny. So what I think I didn't like about Twin when we first moved there was the lack of mountains. There was just a bunch of things that Reno had that Twin did not have for me. But
like everything.
Yeah. I mean, everything. So it was totally different. I mean, going up there, we were at Sawtooth for a little while, and then we moved to Morningside. But I got some good friends. There's 4 of us that hung out. Me, Nick. Actually, it was 5 for the longest time. It was me, Nick, and Scott Higley, Kirk. Doug. Yeah, but what's funny though is like that was us. We were the group. We kind of hung out together all through junior high, and then high school hit, and I kind of became more like Skyla with being the floater-ish. I had those. They were still my friends, and I would go hang out with them like after school, but we very rarely ever had any classes together. And so I started.
They do it on purpose.
Totally. It's conspiracy. I ended up, it really helped me get a much bigger friend group. Now, to this day, I still talk with Kirk. I've talked to Scott a little bit, and definitely Nick. I go up and I stay there with him pretty often, which is great. But
hi, Nick.
Yeah, he listens. He's like, when are you guys going to do another one? Actually, it was funny. He's like,
now.
When you guys were doing the whole, who can be in my little compound thing, and I was like, well, Nick could be, except for that, he's just a tile layer, and as just a tile layer, we don't need a tile layer. And he's like, I love how you said that. And I was like, yeah, but then I went on and I said, yeah, but he built houses and he did farm stuff when he was growing up, so I know he's got a lot of information that he could totally be in. And he's like, I know, but it was so funny when you first said that. I was like, what?
It is weird to record these knowing people are listening.
Yeah, it really is kind of.
Makes you really watch what you say, I feel like.
Yeah, or not. And, if they get offended, they get offended. Nick knows that I'm just me, and hopefully he doesn't get offended by things anymore.
I was going to say, do you know Lonin? Because he just kind of says it how it is, usually.
All right. So it makes me watch what I say.
So anyway, that was us for our high school years. Griff and Sari, they pretty much did the same in high school. I mean, the same place.
Yeah, Las Vegas High. So I was Las Vegas High School is what I remember from my high school years, and then I moved and I was homeschooled. So, my own house, it was great. Las Vegas, I guess.
Jensen Station.
Yeah,
homeschool?
Jensen Station homeschool, because that's pretty much what it was. Which was in Las Vegas. It's Las Vegas. I'll be honest, I still don't quite understand why everyone says that town is such a good town to go and visit, to do stuff in, because I felt like there was nothing I could ever do, because everything that I liked doing was either wrong, illegal, or not where it's supposed to be. And so I didn't.
What did you want to do?
It was all some sort of motive related, which I could.
You know that Tasha used to do street racing, right?
What?
Oh yeah, she street raced the Camaro multiple times, and just waxed the boys.
Well, of course she did. A, Camaro. B, Jensen.
Yeah, I don't know about that. Actually, to be honest, that one of the few street races I was in that I got destroyed in was in the Camaro. And I mean, I had a Honda Civic pull up on me, and it pulled me by like 8 cars. Yeah, I didn't even have a chance to hold on to that one. And
That
that
sounds
was,
like a hustle to me.
huh?
That sounds like a hustle to me because it's a
Yeah.
Civic. It drives up and you're like, psh, whatever, you're a Civic.
Yeah,
But now we know better.
I wish I'd have had my Trans Am. Let's go with that because I would have had some fun with it. I actually could have ran that car down, no problem. Sari will have a little bit different, but that's because I was old enough that I got to see everything I got to do in Idaho, and then we moved to Las Vegas. And really, when we moved to Las Vegas, I went from complete freedom to being stuck in the house or stuck in hell. I mean, in the hot backyard that was swimming. I mean, and that's truly what it was. That was my two choices. And so I see Las Vegas was much more to me as a prison than
Purgatory?
yes than what probably a case or a Sari cuts out of it, because they didn't experience anything else. They really don't remember having a summer that was a very nice summer and it was very pretty outside and you could go out and hang out with your friends and you didn't have to be stuck really to one thing, which is kind of what we did there.
Yeah, well, like Griffith he would like in Shoshone, he would leave at like 7 in the morning and get home at like 9 or 10 o'clock at night, like during the summer. Like Griffith wasn't ever home. Everybody like, where's Griffith? I don't know. He's around town somewhere.
Quite
That's the
literally.
benefit of a teeny tiny little town like Shoshone.
Yeah, and I thought Shoshone was great for that because I got to do everything I wanted to do. I was in the parade both years we lived there, all the parades. I was in like all of the cool stuff that people talk about what they do in small towns is like the cool stuff I got to do. And then I moved to Las Vegas and I couldn't do any of that. I was stuck to swimming, which I mean the reason why I don't like swimming is because for the first 2 years of living in Las Vegas in the summertime, we swam every day. I've gotten bored of water. Like I got so to the point of we did so many things in water that it just doesn't interest me anymore to be around water because it's no fun.
That's like fireworks for me now.
Yes.
Yeah, it's kind of the same thing. Is that it's just I don't like water because of that. I don't, and it was either that or I stood inside and I watched TV because it was too hot. Like really, it was too hot to do anything else because you could be outside for about 10 minutes and then go, okay, I'm done, and go inside.
Yeah, which is why I'm so glad we are where we're at.
Yes, for reals.
All right, Sarah, what was your Las Vegas?
I really liked Vegas, but again, like, I didn't really know different. So I loved being able to I loved that we had a pool. I thought that was really fun. And I have really good memories of going out and swimming in the pool and just like enjoying the pool and our double trampolines that we got in trouble for.
What?
Yeah, we got the homeowners association called on us for having 2 trampolines in the backyard.
Shocker.
If you could have one, why couldn't you have 2?
Amen, right? Because everyone hated us. So I really liked having the pool, and then I just remember like getting the dogs there, and I felt so bad for them because they had to be in the really, really hot heat. But we built them that like really fancy doghouse with a swamp cooler in it, so that was cool. And then Dad would let me sneak them in the house when Mom wasn't there.
Mom knows.
So that was fun too. I don't know. Most of my Vegas was like I did my whole childhood was spent in Vegas. So I did elementary, middle, and high school all in Vegas, obviously in different houses. But like also pretty much like, I don't know. I feel like we played like the days that I didn't have workout when I was younger and starting gymnastics, and like just getting into it before it became my all consuming. You know, like we'd come home from school and we'd play with the neighborhood kids. We'd go like play wall ball. We'd make up plays. We'd go to the park and play hide and seek. I don't know. We had a blast. We had so much fun. Like me and Case and Marin, like, and then there was just like a group of neighborhood kids in like the Royal Legacy House neighborhood that like we just played all the time, and it was so fun. And we loved it. So that was great. And then when we moved out of that house, pretty much at that point, like gymnastics, I think I was going 5 days a week. So I had one day off. And so I decided that like with my one day off, I like picked a club at school to do, and then I would go back to do gymnastics the other 5 days of the week. So I don't know. I feel like pretty much after that, it was just like school and then gymnastics and then and some church things here and there, and that was pretty much my life. So I don't know. I don't have bad memories. I like Vegas. It's freaking hot. Like when I went back to go visit just a few weeks ago, like I was dying. I mean, it was 82 here yesterday and we were all dying. So if that gives you a clue of like where my temperature threshold is these days.
Are you saying you've acclimated?
Oh yeah. Alaska? Yeah, but it's also different because like it was 82 with 60% humidity, so
and that's miserable.
So it's hot, like it's hot and it's humid, and
it's hot and you can't escape the hot.
We have no AC in our house, so like our houses don't come with AC. We have heat. That's it. So our thermostat is set at 66, but our house yesterday was reading 76 because it was just like it couldn't keep up. And so, I don't know. So, I don't know. It was hot, I guess. I feel like you just get used to it and that just becomes your life. Like, I don't know that I could ever live in Vegas again because I would miss the snow. I would be sad. And I know my husband would die of heat stroke. I would be fine. I acclimate pretty well and I really enjoy swimming. I like being in the water. I think it's fun to go to the water parks now that they have the water parks. I think that would have helped us a lot when we were younger because we didn't, like, they had Wet and Wild for like the first 2 years we lived there, Griff, or something. And then
first year.
Yeah, the first year, and then they got rid of it. So like,
yep.
Like having a water park that we could have gotten like season passes to and stuff. I think that would have made it a little more enjoyable for us. Or like maybe for Griff, I don't know. Just because that gives a little bit of variety to just like a backyard pool. Sorry, Brexton found the talk button.
I agree.
So
it would have helped.
Yeah,
because
so I think that
problem,
Vegas has come a long way in like being more family friendly, I guess is the way I would put it. So they have
where I was coming from is that we didn't have any of that. Like name what fun thing you could go do besides Circus.
Yeah, and that was pretty much it. Like if we would have had, now they have Wet and Wild again and Cowabunga Bay and they have like the Children's Discovery Museum and so like those were things that we didn't really have growing up. Like we could go to the mall, we could go to someone else's pool, we could be at our pool, we could be in your house, or I was at the gym. So like that was pretty much it. I agree with Griff. Like there wasn't a whole lot to do, but I do think Vegas has changed in that aspect where there's a lot of like family friendly things now there that weren't there when we lived there. That would have made the experience more enjoyable, in my opinion.
Yep, you're probably not wrong. I don't have a lot of fond memories of Las Vegas just because of like business failures and stuff like that. So Vegas is like on my low. Like if I had to pick my least favorite town, it'd be Pahrump, and then close second would be Vegas.
See, but I have to have fond memories of Vegas. Otherwise, like my whole childhood was crap. Right? Like,
yeah.
That is literally where my whole childhood was spent. So if I choose to be like, oh, Vegas sucked, it was awful, then like it's basically saying that my whole childhood sucked and it was awful. And that was not the case. Like I really enjoyed my childhood. I feel like I had a good childhood. So
yeah, no, and that makes sense. I mean, I get that. So we'll go back to Skyla now. I think we're gonna do first city you lived in after high school.
So the first city I lived in after high school was Boise. I went to Boise State for about 6 months.
Oh, I didn't realize you went to Boise State while you were up there. I guess I knew you were going to college, but
I did. I went to
put it together.
BSU.
Bull crap, you.
That's right. I did get to play football on the blue turf, though, which is my big claim to fame.
Smurf turf.
So I went to Boise State, and actually I lived in Meridian, but Boise is a beautiful city. I love Boise. It's got so many trees, and there's lots to do. And granted, I was part of the college scene, so probably a lot more to do on the college campus than normal places. But I thought Boise was just beautiful, and I loved it, and I would not have minded if we had ended up there.
I hated the layout of Boise. Like downtown Boise was such a pain to get to. Like
to get around, Yeah.
Yes.
But once you know, and so it's not that hard.
I mean, that park downtown that had the river run through, there's a lot of cool things. I'm not, you are correct. I really did. I think I actually liked Boise more than I liked Twin.
Ditto.
Yeah, I mean,
I have more better memories. Wow, grammar.
Yeah, I dated a girl from there. Actually, it was one of Elijah's girlfriends while he was on his mission.
Channel.
Oh.
And then let's see what else. But I did have. I did have to install some machines up in that area, in the Payette area, and then actually 2 in the Boise greater area, if you will. And so I did enjoy Boise. It's a pretty good one. For me, my first one after high school, if you don't include Shoshone, because I was still there when I was supposed to have graduated, then it would be Vegas. And again, you've already heard what I think of Vegas, so we'll just stop there. Griffith!
I was Vegas too.
After high school. So you've graduated high school and then you go to a new city. What is that new city?
Prescott.
Henderson.
No, that Hendertucky doesn't count.
That doesn't count.
I went from Henderson to Las Vegas. It was a big move.
Outside of the Las Vegas Valley.
Metropolitan Las Vegas area.
Where did you go?
So my first move would have been almost 10 years later, after I didn't graduate high school, but was not in high school, which would have been my move that just recently happened, which was Prescott. Ended up moving to Prescott. Prescott wasn't a bad place.
For those of you who don't know the West, it's Prescott, Arizona. Or Prescott, Arizona.
Prescott. Yeah, they say Prescott.
Sorry.
It's like Hurricane.
It's
It's
like
redonkulous.
Yes.
It's like calling it Boise when it's Boise. Yeah, it's the same. That same way that you feel when someone says Boise is the same way if someone calls it Prescott. Prescott. Yeah, because it's not Prescott, it's Prescott. I was informed.
Because they like to be weird.
Yeah. Prescott wasn't terrible. I mean, it was a lot of long hours for me. I'm not necessarily like the town itself, not too terrible. I'm happy I don't work where I work anymore because that was horrible. Like my average work day was 14 hours long, and
it's rough.
And it was 6 week and sometimes fall into 7 days a week, and I'm happy not to be there for that. But it was actually a really cute little town. I was actually happy to move because it was something that was going to get me out of Las Vegas. It was getting me more into the temperature that I'm in now, where I have 4 seasons, and it was a little town that I wanted to move into, and it was. I mean, they did the big celebrations, and
You're not talking anymore. You're breaking up.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yep. It's just like you stopped pushing the button or something for a second there.
Oh, so Prescott is kind of like Cedar, where everyone from Phoenix travels up to Prescott for all of these celebrations because they're trying to get out of the heat, or they're trying to go there for like snow because it snows there occasionally, and that's where like all that they were the Arizona Christmas town, and so they went all out.
That's awesome.
I mean, I'm talking
two
about
things that don't go together: Arizona Christmas town.
They had a really cool brewery that I didn't get to go to. I'm really sad about that.
That's probably my saddest thing about leaving Prescott was the Prescott Brewing Company, because it had some of the best food, and their portions were like, let's just go is that their portions weren't small.
Yeah, and we have like 2 bars here, and I've heard they're both terrible food-wise.
Yeah, and I don't know. I've not been to either. So that was probably that's what I do miss about Prescott is like that town, that part of the town, and that little area is because that's about all I really went and did, to be honest. Like I was so busy with work that I never really got to go explore Prescott much more than that.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what. So I was telling you, Skylar, that Boise's really hard to like navigate through. Yeah, it hasn't got anything on Prescott. Like, I swear all they did is pave freaking cow trails. I am not kidding.
Horse tracks.
Yeah, like it's terrible.
Yeah, it has a road that it just winds around the town. There's no rhyme or reason to it except for that it was a road that I probably was a horse track.
You would literally have, like, without GPS, you would guarantee get lost. That's how bad it was.
They did it on purpose.
Quite possibly.
Maybe.
So then, Sarie's probably next one is where she's still at.
Yep.
So after high school, I got a 4A scholarship to do gymnastics at UAA, which is the University of Alaska Anchorage. So I moved up to Alaska, which is a little crazy, but here I am. But I like Anchorage. It's okay. I don't know. It's grown on me. It's taken me 10 years for me to like it for the most part. I don't love it. I don't know.
What time does it get dark there right now? Or does it get dark?
It gets dark for about an hour right now at night. So, like, the sun starts going down at, like, midnight probably right now. Because we're losing daylight now, which is depressing.
Oh.
It's still like you go to bed and it's up and you wake up and it's up. So, like, you never don't not see daylight right now. Does that make sense?
Yep, it's exactly opposite of the winter.
Yeah, exactly the opposite of the winter, where you go to bed and it's dark and you wake up and it's dark and it's dark for most of the day.
Sun.
I mean, Anchorage has it a lot better than like Barrow and Fairbanks because we're down lower, and so we get more sunlight in the winter than like Fairbanks does. Because Fairbanks does hit a point where they have 24 hours of darkness. We don't ever hit that point. The most we ever hit, I think, is about 20 hours of darkness. So we still get hours of light. But like you have to keep in mind that like they start light like the second the sun starts to rise.
Got you.
It's like, we have like really 1.5 to 2 hours of real light. So still better than like the slope and stuff, but that part is hard and it's cold. My least favorite part is that once it snows, it doesn't go away. So like in most places it'll snow and the snow will stay for like a day or two, maybe a week, right? And then you get like a spout of warm weather, warm-ish, enough to melt snow and make it go away. And then everything is dry again, and you're like, oh, yay, fun snow, woo! Yeah, no, not in Alaska. So nowhere in Alaska, regardless of what city you live in, but like in Anchorage. So we normally see snow the end of October. So we normally have snow on the ground for Halloween, which number one sucks because it's cold. But we just plan for it. We just have our kids wear their costumes over their snowsuits. It's fine. But then it's here until May. So it never goes away. It ices over. It might thaw and then refreeze. So like thaw during the day and then refreeze at night. That's the worst because then it's really, really slippery outside and the roads are awful and it's really hard to walk. And then like we can't take the dogs out to play because they like slip all over the place and they're gonna break their leg. So that's when it gets really hard is like when we get like the like thaw freeze cycles. Or if we get freezing rain. Freezing rain is the absolute worst weather.
I hate freezing rain.
Ever. It's awful. I remember the first time I encountered freezing rain, and we had just finished practice. We came out, and it was freezing rain. So it would hit the windshield of the car we were about to drive. It wasn't my car. I didn't have a car at the time, but it was my teammate's car. And so it was just like hitting the windshield, but the second it hit the windshield, so it was rain, and then the second it hit the windshield, it froze. So
yep.
Oh my gosh, it's so bad. It's awful. I hate it. It's the worst. And it's one of the few times that school is shut down is when we either have a thaw freeze cycle or if there's freezing rain. School shuts down every single time. We don't shut down for snow though. Never. They've never called a snow day. Doesn't matter how much snow we get on the ground. They call ice. So yeah. So I don't know. I love it. I love the summers. They're beautiful. I feel like generally we have a really good I don't know, I'm trying to think. I don't know. I feel like we have a good bit of like hot days where it's sunny and nice and beautiful. I mean, hot. Keep in mind, remember, we don't have air conditioning. So, anything above 75 starts getting a little warm. But, yeah, so the summer we get like our nice sunny days. And then today we ended up with like this huge rainstorm, which was crazy. It kind of reminded me of Vegas because it just like came out of nowhere and lasted for 10 minutes where it rained super heavy and then it rained for the next couple hours pretty lightly. But now it's sunny again. Like clouds are gone and it's nice out. The sun's out, and so the summers are beautiful and well worth surviving the winters for, I guess. But still, it's just hard to be away. I think if I had family up here and I lived here or like I was from here and like I had family up here, or even if like Bryce's family was up here, like it would be a different story for me. Like, because that's my
Totally
hardest
get
part
it.
is I like Alaska now. Like I love where I work, and I like the people here, and I like, you know, I don't necessarily love the city of Anchorage, but it's convenient to be in a big city. I struggle being further out, but that's also because I grew up in Vegas, and so you know, it just is. I don't know. That's my biggest struggle is that it's
You
far
just
away
wish
from
you had
family.
family around.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to like be like, hey, you know, and I have close friends, but it's hard to look at them and be like, hey, will you watch my kids for 2 days while I go out of town on a meet? You know, like I can't do that, and I don't ask that of them. Like, but like if I had family nearby, I would ask that of them, and I would feel comfortable with that. But that's not like necessarily something that like I would ask anyone up here to do. Does that make sense? I guess. I don't,
Yes.
Yep.
You know, like I have really close friends, but that's very different than family.
Yeah, that's pushing it.
So I don't know.
Yeah, because friends don't have to love you.
No, they don't. But that also kind of is a nice thing at the same time is that they don't have to, but they do. So
That is true.
I don't know.
All right.
A good little thing, but yeah, that's my spiel on Anchorage.
She loves it and she hates it all at the same time.
Oh, wait, one really cool thing about Anchorage is that we have like over 200 miles of trail in Anchorage, which is really cool.
That's cool.
So like walking trails, bike riding trails, and they like go all like they go down the coast and then weave like through town. So that's really cool. And then like they go through tunnels and stuff. So and they keep them clear all year long. So like you can walk or they like groom them in the winter so that like people can cross country ski. It's not my thing, but other people do it, and so that's really cool. Like you get to like we have that much trail. I think that's really cool.
That is
Okay,
really
I
cool.
think I'm done now.
All right. So the next one we're going to go to is, I mean, I don't know. So I was thinking we probably just do favorite city you've lived in, but maybe, I mean, Skylar, you want to go there or do you want to go the one after? I mean, your next one would be in New York, right?
Yeah. I don't know. I can't pick a favorite city because all of them have been my favorite for different reasons.
Right.
So, but I can talk quickly.
Yeah. Just tell us a little bit about which ones you liked and why.
All right. So, do you just want me to go through all of them?
Sure.
Okay. Mike and I got married in Saratoga Springs, New York, which is an adorable little town in upstate New York. It's about 30 miles north of Albany and about 6 hours north of the city.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. By the city, she means New York City.
Is there another the city? Anyway,
maybe to some people.
Not if you've ever lived in New York. Anyway.
Well, I haven't.
So Saratoga Springs is a super cute city. It's really well known for its horse racing, and it reminded me a lot of Idaho in that it is a lot of farmland on the outside and then this cute little town on the inside. But New Yorkers are very, very different than Idahoans. They're in a much bigger hurry all of the time. But I loved it. I loved the seasons. We had great winters. The summers there are gorgeous. Fireflies sometimes. I just really enjoyed it. And, you know, it's where I got married and I have lots of really fun memories of it. We lived there twice. So we lived there in 96, right after we got married until November of 96. And then we lived there again from 2001 to 2004.
And that's when we came and visited you.
Yes, you came and visited me in 2003. No, 2003. Case came to visit in 2002, I think.
Yeah, it would have been actually 2002 because it was before Arroyo was born. And she was born November 2002.
Okay. So yeah, then it would have been 2002. And we had the cutest little house out there, didn't we?
Yeah.
It was a tiny little house.
And it was definitely 2001 because that's the year Braylon was born and that's when we flew him out.
Wait, flew who out?
My wife and Braylon. When I flew him out to Atlanta. When we came up and saw you, then we went back down to Atlanta and I flew him out, or back down to South Carolina, Kiowa Island. And so I flew her out to Atlanta and then we went up the coast and I flew her out of New York City.
Nice. So yeah, super cute little house. Our landlord lived next door. Sweet, sweet old man. And I just really enjoyed Saratoga. It was a great town. From Saratoga, in 96, we moved to Pearl Harbor, Honolulu. And the first time we were stationed in Pearl Harbor, we moved every year that we were there that first tour, and so we lived in a few different towns.
Why?
The first time because we so we get there and there's no base housing because they're redoing all of the base housing and they've torn down some and they haven't rebuilt enough for us to get base housing. And so we got an apartment in a little town called Eva Beach on the very west side of Oahu. Or not the very west side, but on the west side of Pearl Harbor. And so the guy who takes us out, he's a Navy guy and their job is to help us find some place to live. And he takes us out in this little duty van and we're driving down H1 and it's the middle of the afternoon. And we're driving out there and it takes us like 12 minutes to get to this little apartment, and it's in our price range and it's super cute, it's brand new, and we're like, yeah, this is great. And so we get the apartment. The first day Mike has to go to work, he's fighting traffic and it takes us an hour and a half to get there.
Oh.
He was an hour and a half late to work his first day on a submarine. It was bad. It was so bad. Because the guy forgot to mention Honolulu traffic to us. And if there's a downside to Hawaii, to Honolulu specifically, it is the traffic. If you want to go anywhere between the hours of 6 in the morning and 10 in the morning, you do not want to go from the west side of you don't want to go to Honolulu because that's where everybody's going. And if you want to go anywhere in the evening, you don't want to go away from Honolulu, you want to go towards it. And
gotcha. That's how it was in Maui too.
Yeah, because there's only one road.
Right.
Well, there were only two roads. There's H1
road.
and there's H1, which is the highway, and then there's Kamehameha Highway, which is like a surface street that they call a highway.
Right.
But it was a cute little apartment, and it was a great way, it was a cute little 2-bedroom, I think, that we got, and, to start our marriage, and it was adorable. But then as soon as our lease was up, we got into base housing, and our base housing was cinder block built before World War II. Like, it was
terrible.
It was terrible, but it had this great big yard, and it was right on base, and it was, not on base because there is no on base housing in Pearl Harbor, but it was right next to the gate. So, he had a 2.5 minute commute, and it was a cute, all of my houses have been cute in their own way. And this one was, pre-World War II or maybe right after World War II. But cinder block, I had to figure out how to hang things up in it. I found out that there are such things as cinder block hooks that you hammer these teeny tiny little nails in. It's crazy. And then we moved to another new house because they were tearing down that housing. And so we moved into the newer housing, and that was really nice, and had a pool in the neighborhood and super cute. Great view of the whole harbor. But I love Honolulu. I miss it every day. I loved living in Hawaii, but that first time was really hard because it was my first time away from family, and so it was really tough because I missed everybody. I wanted to go on a road trip, and 2 hours around the island is not a road trip. Most of that was attitude. I just kind of had a bad attitude. Mike was gone literally 80% of the time, and so I was lonely. But overall, I loved Honolulu. And then we moved back to New York, and then we moved back to Hawaii, and then we moved to Maine. We lived in a little teeny tiny town on the southern tip of Maine called Kittery, and that's where Liv was born. And again, super adorable New England town. You were, if you weren't born there and hadn't lived there for generations, then you were from away. So obviously we were from away, but we ended up with this house that's officer housing. Is Brexton pushing the talk buttons there? It's cracking me up. Love it.
Sorry.
No, it's fine. I can see the light blinking, and it's making me laugh because I know what's happening. Anyway, so this house, it was officer housing, and it was built in 1812 or something like that.
What?
Yeah, it was super old. And it was right on the river, and it had probably 3/4 of an acre of yard, and literally the backyard went to the river.
Wow.
And across the river was base. And so Mike had, again, super short commute. And
that was in Vermont though, right?
No, that was in Maine.
No, you lived in Maine, but I thought he was stationed in Vermont.
New Hampshire, Portsmouth, New Hampshire.
Right.
But like, you know how St. Paul and Minneapolis are basically the same town, just
Yeah.
it's the same way with Portsmouth and Kittery. They're basically the same town, just the river divides them. They've got a state line through them.
It's like Kansas City and Kansas City.
Correct.
They're both Kansas
Yes.
City.
Correct. And that, I mean, we had big boat parties in our yard. We had 4th of July party there. You know, we're grilling and we're playing volleyball, and then all of a sudden it starts to snow.
Okay.
Yeah, but then it snowed for like 10 minutes and then it was 75 again. It was the weirdest thing. But it was just, I loved that house and the garden. Whoever had that house before me, like, really did a lot of work in the garden. It was just beautiful. And I wish we'd been able to stay longer, but we were only there for like 14 months. It was really tiny, and it was so old that there were no closets, but there were hooks for your 4 outfits. I'm not even kidding. Like, that was it. And the stairs were really short. You had to like duck to go up the stairs because people were shorter back then.
And probably extremely steep.
Very. And boy, when you get to 9 months pregnant, the last thing you want to do is go up and down those stairs. Whew.
Yeah.
I had Scarlett O'Hara visions of me falling down the stairs every so often. And then from Maine back to Hawaii, and then from Hawaii to South Carolina. And we lived in Somerville, South Carolina, which is just north of Charleston, about 30 miles north of Charleston. And it was beautiful. And it was a great place to raise the girls. And I loved it. I loved it there. I lived there twice as long as I have ever lived anywhere else in my entire life.
Yep. Crazy.
Yep. Yeah, because I only lived in Twin for 6 years and we lived in Somerville for 12.
Wow.
Uh-huh. And I loved it. It was an amazing place to raise my kids. And but I am glad to be out of the humidity. And I'm so glad to be so much closer to family. Like, just being able to drive down for Memorial Day to have the barbecue with everybody was awesome. And getting to spend time with Mike's family was awesome. And knowing that you guys are less than a day drive is just
so much easier.
So much easier. And it's like, okay, now I can plan trips. Because for 25 years, we've been planning trips home. When we have time off, we go home.
Right.
And now we live at home, so we can plan trips places.
Away.
We can plan trips away. And I love Reno. Like, this is one of my favorite cities ever. There's a lot of cultural events. There's the mountains. There's 4 equalish seasons. There's still lots of land, but there's still lots to do. I'm so excited to start this new life, our next part, because our 25th wedding anniversary is tomorrow. And
nice.
So our last 25 years have led up to this, and I'm very excited to see where the next 25 years take us.
Have you been to John Esquaga's Nugget and had a pan roast yet?
I have not. I've only been here for 6 days.
I know. I would have been there the first day.
No, but I am very excited. I found an L&L drive-in.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so excited. It's just, and we live on this road, and everything is on this road. Like, every time we've needed something, we're like, what road's it on? Oh, it's the road we live on.
We just keep driving until we find it.
And it's like super, super long road. So everything really is on it. But
wait, what road is it?
South Virginia.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like the longest road in Reno.
Yeah.
But we found mini golf on this road. We found movie theaters. We found all kinds, like an In-N-Out. We found Raising Cane's. We've been eating out a lot because we don't have any pots and pans yet.
Right.
So
all the more reason to go get a freaking pan roast.
Well, maybe one of these days. We're going to go have Atlantis tomorrow night for our anniversary.
Wait. You're going to choose to go to Atlantis over John Esquaga's on purpose?
Listen, I have never had a pan roast, so it's not calling my name yet.
I get that, but John Esquaga's food is way better than Atlantis.
Okay, but it's the first time we're living the girls alone in a new city, so we want to be close.
Is it that? Well, John Esquaga's isn't that much further in Atlantis, is it?
I don't know, like 10 minutes. It's not. No, it's not that much farther, but it's enough farther that.
All right, you're just missing out. But you can have the pan roast at Atlantis, but the problem is that it's nowhere near as good.
Okay, so maybe I should have it at the Atlantis and then try it John Esquagas.
Maybe, but then you might hate the one from John Esquagas because then you had the first one from Atlantis.
If John Esquagas is better, it's better.
It's better because there's so much butter in it. It's so freaking good. Like Griff,
Like Julia Child
Griff,
better.
Yeah. I think I took Griff there a couple times, didn't I, Griff, or no?
I know we've went once or twice, but we didn't you gotta remember we were always headed to Carson City,
Yeah.
so we didn't spend a whole lot of time in Reno. It was more Carson City.
Yeah,
But the
I was
nugget
more
is
Reno.
in Sparks.
Yep.
Yeah, I got to experience people that Skyla you may not even remember because that was Dad's like stomping buddy, and when he lived up in Reno, and me and Lawton, it's kind of where we actually ended up a lot of times when we were in Cedar is with him.
Not in Cedar, in Carson City. I can't think of his
That's
name.
right. I know it's what I was about to grab my phone and see if I could find him. Bill Knight.
Bill Knight. Yep.
Nope, don't remember him.
You know,
Maybe
it's
if I
funny.
saw him,
He just
I
like
don't know.
dad hooks up with him, and we go like he fed us buffalo one time. It
Where
was
is he,
really
in
dry.
Carson?
Yeah, in Carson.
Interesting.
Yeah. Have
Hey,
you taken
do
the girls
any
up to Virginia City yet?
Yeah, we did that when we came down in May.
It's so totally different now. It's totally a tourist trap.
Yeah.
I still like tourist traps. I really do.
No, I agree, but I mean, like, it's so different than it was when we were there.
It
Yes,
is.
that's also 30-something years ago, but
Yeah, which is crazy to think about anything being 30 years
Dad could have bought like half the block on the main street for next to nothing.
in
And does
Virginia City
Uh-huh.
because it was dying.
Yeah.
But what would he have done with it?
Even if he had just held on to it, like 5 years, it started selling like crazy.
Yeah. Oh well.
Anyway, or
Missed
something like that.
opportunities.
Yeah, it happens, you know.
Maybe
Hindsight's
you'll
always
just have
20/20.
to. You'll just have to come and visit me and take me to have pan roast.
Oh, yeah, that's a possibility. It is only 8 hours there. The problem is it's on
right.
the loneliest highway in Nevada, which goes on
you mean in the world?
forever. Yeah, I mean, technically. Yeah, me and Griffin Baird did it. And I'd done parts of it. I'd never done the whole thing. Holy chickens.
Yeah. Is it bad?
Oh my goodness. Like, you think it's about to end. It's kind of like, you remember River God? Where like
Yeah.
you think it's going to end and then it doesn't. And then you think it's going to end and it doesn't. And then you think it just keeps going. It's the same thing. Like
Yeah.
you're like, oh, just over this rise, we're going to see something. Nope, it's another freaking road for 50 miles that you go over. And then you're like, oh, just over this rise. And then it's nothing again.
Nothing.
And it's just like, oh my goodness.
Oh well.
So yeah, it's pretty crazy. But anyway, so real quick, I'll name off. So Vegas for me, obviously, and then I moved a couple of different times in Vegas, and then back up to Twin Falls for about a year, just over a year actually. Worked for Dell for a little bit. Went up and lived with Dane for about 7 months in Meridian, and then back to Vegas for about a month or two, and then out to Pahrump for, I was out there for 6
Too long?
years. Yeah, way too long. 5 years, something like that. And then Henderson was just like a stopping spot. We knew that wasn't where we were going to stay, but to where we ended up. And actually, I really liked where we were at in Henderson. It was pretty nice. And then up here to Cedar City, and I love it up here. I mean, the only thing I regret is not coming here sooner. And what was funny is that we would stay at Todd's house, and we came up for Easter quite a few times. Every time we come up, we'd be like, I was like, I said I would never live in Utah ever, but I could live here.
Yeah. Definitely.
It's totally different than like Orem and Provo and
Happy Valley.
Salt Lake City. Yeah, let's call it Happy Valley. Not only that, but it's too metropolis for me too. Like if I could move to a tiny little town like Shoshone again, I'd do it in a heartbeat. A little harder to talk my wife into that, but I would do it.
I want to be city adjacent. I don't want to be in the city, but I want to be close enough to go.
I want to be an hour's away from a decent sized city at a maximum.
So what's your decent sized city?
Cedar, it's good enough.
Oh, see, that's a cute little town.
Yeah, we got the same
Walmart.
amount of people as we've got about the same amount of people as Twin did when we moved there.
Yeah, but Twin is still too small for me now.
Yeah,
Because
not me.
I mean, think about it. I've lived close to big cities for 25 years.
Right, Honolulu and South Carolina. You live next to Charleston, and I get that. I'm just saying. I mean, like, yes, if I could find one that was close enough with the temperatures that I wanted, and it had a Costco and it was an hour away, I'd be okay with that too.
Reno.
Yeah, I don't know.
You're already settled. I'm just kidding.
It's way too close to California.
But it's not California. That's the
it's
thing.
California away from home right now.
Right, because all the Californians are migrating there and taking all of their bad laws with them.
You know, it's funny because every state I've ever lived in has said that. So in Idaho, all the Californians were obviously moving to Idaho, and
Same thing there.
And in South Carolina, all the Ohioans and the New Jerseyans were
Really? It was the Ohioans and New Jerseyans, huh?
Ohio and New Jersey. Those were the two states that were targeted.
Funny.
I can
And-
see New Jersey, but the Californians are coming and taking over this place too. It's not any different.
Yep.
You know, Californians are not evil, and also, Lana, you know that you and I are Californians, right?
Yeah, I don't claim it.
It's not the people. It's their laws they bring with them.
Yeah, exactly. Actually, I mean, I've met plenty of them. I don't mind them at all. It's just when they're like, oh, well, these people shouldn't have their dogs outside. That's just terrible. It's like, it's not that bad. It's only 90 degrees out there. So it's just stuff like that. Like, people will sit there and complain on Facebook, and it's like, let me guess where you're from. So we did have to deal with that a lot. But either way, I personally love it here. And then Griff's next move was obviously here, so he can tell us what he thinks of that as well.
Cedar's great. That's where I also moved. I have no complaints.
We're pretty much out of our time limit right now, and looks like Skylar might be having some internet difficulties at the moment. She keeps logging in and out. But I think we're going to sign off, and we appreciate everybody listening to us, and we'll get this up as soon as we can. And everyone stay ugly.
Stay ugly.
Bye.
Bye. Night.